Hey everyone, this is a clip from a recent episode of the Men of Steel podcast where we talk about Superman and Superman adjacent topics. If you enjoy this clip, check out the podcast. You can find it at certainpov.com or wherever you get your shows. So in the first issue where it's mostly just Superman dealing with like the normal drama of stuff going on in, you know, the rich world of Metropolis that there is, it's they're dealing with underworld mutants and aliens who have like all decided to live like it's the Morlocks from X-Men, except instead of it being just mutants, it's weird radioactive people, it's weird aliens, it's weird all this stuff who've all decided to live underground together. And there's some shitty people, but there's also one who just fucking looks like Doomsday.
Fully.
What's his face? What's his face is actually pretty close to his name.
Clawster.
Yeah, Clawster. There we go. He's a concrete man with spikes. He looks so much like Doomsday. It's annoying. And when I played the video game for the first time, I was super confused what the hell's going on, because I knew what Doomsday looked like. And I'm like, isn't that Doomsday? Aren't I playing Doomsday right now? But it's this whole side story about like a kid who like was threatened by these people so that he wouldn't tell anyone, recruiting Superman. Meanwhile, Lois Lane goes in there to investigate because Lois Lane can't help but fall into trouble because she's a reporter.
Classic Lois.
She gets a tip off where it's like, send Superman, shit's really bad's about to happen. She's like, well, obviously I'm going.
Yeah. Well, I guess I better get myself in there then.
Yeah, and there's probably the the most dated line in this entire book happens in this issue, where Lois decides to leave a note for Clark. At this point, they're engaged. At this point, she knows who Superman is. Like, there's no mystery there.
Okay, good.
But she leaves a note on the computer and tells someone that there's a note on Clark's computer when he gets in.
Yeah.
And when he arrives, that other person is like, Lois left you a computer message. And he goes, very high tech of her. Thanks, friend. And then as he like wakes up his computer from the screensaver, power goes out because the underworld creatures have destroyed everything. And so he doesn't even read the message.
Should have written it down.
Yep. Yeah, because like you can't rely on computers to get messages to people.
Yeah,
like who
especially
would
back
ever
then.
use a computer?
That's so novel and high tech.
Right.
It'll never catch on.
And like the story doesn't have like a lot going on for the rest of it. It's just part of the larger drama that they were kind of telling. I do want to note that at this point, Superman, the Man of Steel, was being written by Louise Simonson, who is a famous writer. She's like famously picked up New Mutants right after Chris Claremont, and worked with that until Rob Liefeld became her artist, and he was a douchebag, and she was kind of ousted by him because he was a douchebag. How behind the scenes drama at Marvel goes. So she has a habit of writing more like down to earth stories. Like a lot of the stories involve like, I'm trying to not. There are a lot of urban themes going on in there, and it's from my understanding, it's like from interviews with her and so forth, like she actually just really cares about societal ills and is like really trying to be woke in an era pre-woke. I think is the best way to describe it. Like there's a reason, even though it's like at this point everyone working on the Superman books are all like white people, like there's a reason why the book that ends up having the black protagonist when they go to the Return of Superman era, like why it is Wheezy at the helm of that book, because she wanted to like have a like more diversity in everything. And so she has a lot of the supporting cast are represented as non-white people, and that's cool. I like that element there. You know, there's only so much that you can really do with it in this issue, because it's like, well, it's a bunch of underworld creatures like rising up and knocking out the power and having giant tunnel machines. Yeah, the mutants, side note, where they came from, Metropolis has a lot of quote-unquote DN aliens because of Project Cadmus, which is located just outside of Metropolis, where they just genetically modify people all the time. I was
shocked that was included here. I was like, oh snap, Cadmus is here?
Oh, yeah. Well, Cadmus is always a Superman thing, first and foremost. It was introduced to Jimmy Olsen, or Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, by Jack Kirby when he was working on the book. So it's always like outside of Metropolis, there's that stuff kind of going on there. But yeah, that's where the DN aliens come from, which are some of the mutants, and then their creatures from Warworld are the other like major group that's like vying for power under, and then also like hobos.
I did notice there were a lot of hobos just kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, this seems like
and
a cause we can get behind.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, these weird aliens want to like overthrow the surface world.
Fuck yeah, let's
Fuck
go.
those guys.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy it. Like Lois Lane is honestly one of the reasons why this all works out in the first place, because she actually, so they note that she like volunteers at a soup kitchen outside of being like a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist and fiance of Superman, and so she has like really good relationships with all these people. Like it's nice. It's nice to have.
It's good.
Like, yeah, it's good. Remember, if you like the clip, after you're done liking and subscribing, check out certainpov.com, where you can find more episodes of the show as well as a ton of other great shows.